Hello, my name is Alexandra Riley, and this is my digital library project presentation. My digital library is named A Look at Wisconsin's Italian American Community, and I was inspired to go with this topic because my own grandparents on my mother's side of the family came to Kenosha, Wisconsin back in 1961 from Calabria, Italy. And so I grew up in this community, and this topic is just near and dear to me and personal. And I just wanted to research more about the community I grew up in and see the items that were available. So the items that are featured in my collection are 5 black and white photographs, 4 newspaper clippings, 8 audio files of interviews from UWM, and then 1 documentary from Milwaukee PBS, and 2 educational web resources. And here is a sample of an item that can be found in my collection. For the creation of my digital collection, it was pretty straightforward. I first started with researching for my items, and I primarily researched my items through UWM Libraries Digital Collection and Wisconsin Historical Society. Both offered a plethora of items and documents on Italian Americans here in Wisconsin. And then I added my items individually to Amica and then created the metadata for each item as I went along the way. And then after that, I built my collection and added my items to the collection. And then after building my collection, I designed the exhibit and I created 5 pages that represented the different item type found in my collection. And then after that, I went back through all the items and added the tags to for more options for browsing. For organizing for access, I wanted to ensure that there was standardized metadata, so I used controlled vocabulary. And for the subject element, I used Library of Congress authorities for the controlled vocabulary. And then for format, I use Art and Architecture Thesaurus. And then for type, I referenced the Library of Congress Thesaurus for graphic materials too. And like I said, I use controlled vocabulary to make my metadata more standardized, and in hopes of making it more standardized, I wanted my collection to be more accessible and that users could search for the terms with more ease. And then for tags, I went based off of these 3 criteria of generic, location, and content type. According to a study I've read by Rafferty 2018, these criteria here are mainly what users have in mind when they're looking through tags or making their own tags. So I wanted to create tags that were more from the perspective of users who would be, browsing through my exhibit. And then for interface design, my main goal was to reflect the theme of the digital collection, but also facilitate quick and easy navigation, search and browsing, and viewing of materials. So I wanted to represent Italian American culture and heritage, but also at the same time have an interface design that is very usable. That's very usable and allows for easy search and browsing. Next, For my interface design, I divide exhibit by item type. So, for example, newspaper clippings are together on one page, and then I selected a different page layouts that best suited the item when creating my interface design. So, for interviews, I went with a gallery block layout because it looked the most organized that way, and it presented the thumbnails of the files like in neat rows. So I just wanted something that was more easily viewable for the user. And then for theme and color scheme, I went with season, spring. Most importantly, I thought it was this theme was viewable. The text appeared clear on the screen, so I thought that was important to use. But also, it matched the theme of my collection. The colors are pastel, red, white, and green. The flags of, or the color of the Italian flag. So I went with this color scheme to also depict the theme of my collection. And then I created my own banner on Adobe Photoshop with a stock image from Pixabay, and I did this just to make my digital collection feel more personalized and unique. For the evaluation of my digital library, these are the most important criteria to me. For browsing, are users able to browse through items without hassle? For search performance, can users conduct keyword searches successfully? And then for tags, are the tags useful? Do they reflect user needs? And this criteria can be tricky because it can be difficult to understand, the perspective of a user and how they view tags. So, do they reflect that? And then our textbook cites that usability, learnability, and efficiency are important criteria when evaluating a digital library. So, when evaluating my digital library, I want to ensure um, is it usable? Can users easily access the items? Can they quickly learn the layout to easily navigate through my site? And can they do this efficiently and quickly without delay or without, getting lost? And then another important criteria also listed in the textbook is accessibility. Can users with visual impairments access text and materials? Can they, without any obstacles? And then also another criteria that I think it's important to evaluate a digital library on is user experience. In the end, we want our users to come back and use our collection again. So based off that, is the digital library enjoyable to use? Were there any problems that they encountered that made the experience feel negative? Overall, these are the digital library evaluation criteria that I find important. And thank you for your time for listening to this presentation. And now I will go on to the tour portion. Here is the home page of my digital library. At the top here is the banner that you can click on that will bring you to the home page. And on this home page, there featured item, collection, and exhibit. and then it shows the recently added items. Next, we have this first tab here to the left named Browse Items, and here users can browse through them, clicking on the arrow, or they can browse by the tags that I created. So example, they can click on that and then they are brought to an item. And then they can search items too. So they can enter key search words. And then they can retrieve the items that they wanted. Next we have browse collections, which is very similar to browse items where they list the collection items here. And then for browse exhibits, it is named Italian American Life in Wisconsin and has a description here of it. And then users can then, here are the 5 sections that I was talking about that users can access. The organized material. So for example, here's the gallery layout that I was talking about for the interviews. It just makes it, I picked this layout because it made it look more organized and easy to view. And then I labeled them with the name and date. And then for photographs, I use a carousel layout to just make it more interactive, to make the exhibit more interactive. And then I labeled the name of the item at the bottom there. And then here is the documentary that users can watch, and they can click on the hyperlink here and it will open up in a new tab. So then, they don't have to click on the back arrow if they are brought to a new website. And that is the same thing for these web resources. If they click on the hyperlink, they'll be brought to a new tab. And then here are the newspaper clippings, and they are also presented in a gallery layout for an easy view. And then after browse exhibits, we have an about page for my digital library, and then a quick start guide to for any users who are curious or struggling with browsing or searching through my digital library. And that is my digital library. Thank you for watching and listening.